Hello, I am Variegata, and this is Horticular, a garden and wildlife management game with pleasant animation and a very sweet story. Mysterious gnomes have summoned you from afar with the desperate hope that you can save their garden from their awful nemesis. Manage the environment properly and you can attract animals, creatures, new plants and a team of magical friends to help you on your way. Today I am playing the demo and I will be giving you some hints, tips and little facts that I've picked up from playing over the last few days. So, Horticular, let's play, let's show and tell. Horticular is a single-player strategy simulation game developed by InDirection games, which have the aim of creating new, independent games with soul and with emotion. I've played Horticular for a few hours now, and I am already invested and excited to see how many more animals or trees or whatever else I can rear and cultivate. So it looks like this demo is off to a great start already. I'm really very interested to see how some of the mechanics discovered so far develop in the full release. So, without further ado, let's begin. Welcome to Horticular. Here is our little initial starting plot of land, our hut, our postbox. You can show some love to the gnomes, and you'll quickly notice that letters are the primary means of communication and information in the game. Letters announce the arrival of new tasks, new friends, new dangers, and new items. Beige letters are from external friends, and blue ones are from the keepers, who are your guiding hand in all of this. Black letters are from your main adversary, the one undermining you at every turn, destroying your garden and ruining your progress. We shall meet the one they call your nemesis later. When interacting with items, you need to click and drag rather than just click. If you left click only, at least in my demo, nothing will happen. But once you drag, you can move, you can rotate, or you can sell for nice shiny gold pieces. My first proper tip is related to the challenges and tasks in-game. One of the challenges is to get rid of all wasteland, which is this sort of sandy looking ground with all the scrubby little weeds. I would suggest you do that straight away, because I did not notice the challenge at first. I tried to do it later when I had already bought more land, and not only was it not registering any progress at all, but the area to clear is obviously far larger too. I mean, this could just be a little annoyance, but I'm telling you anyway just in case. Also, you must fill in the square under the postbox. That counts as wasteland. So this is why I am filling out all of the ground now. The second tip relating to groundwork is that every type of ground takes a certain amount of time to be laid. So for example, grass takes about 6 seconds, dirt takes about 1 second, but every tile lays in order. So if you lay 10 tiles, they won't all come up in a second at once. The first tile will come up in 1 second, and the next tile will come up, so that the tiles will not start producing until the tile you laid before has finished. So just bear that in mind when planning. You know, you might lay 20 grass, and it takes 20 times 6 seconds to finally finish. Also, I have accidentally trapped the tiny gnomes on tiles before when the tiles around them have not finished, loading yet, so I'm sorry about that, Mr. Gnome. You can speed up the laying of the tiles. If you click and hold, it will hopefully speed up and hurry up that individual tile, but you'll still need to go and do that on every single tile, so bear that in mind. So we've laid the groundwork, and now we want some actual plants. These cost actual gold, of course, nothing is free, but they bring with them various benefits. So they give your garden variation and decoration, which increases the love bonus, and they have various properties which are required to bring in the animals. They need to be planted in particular places, so for example flowers cannot be planted in grass. They need soil, and some of them require, they don't like being near water, or they do need to be near water, etc. Also, another tip, try not to plant millions of one flower, because that will ultimately count against you. We need variety in this garden, not monotony. You get points and gold if you have a nice variety of plants in your garden. Our journal shows all of our tasks, our challenges, the inside of our little house, all dusty and cobwebby at the start, but you gain more belongings over time. Perhaps in the full release you can choose what it looks like, I don't know, but in the demo it seems a little gradual. Speaking of random, the garden itself has changed every time I've started a new game, so hopefully this means it will be different in every playthrough, so that's a fun fact. I think that's very cool. So let's talk about the days and the nights, shall we? After a short while, you get access to the day and night cycle, which shows you how much you've earned, how your garden is doing, the effects of weather or decay on your earnings, which more on that soon, and also your costs, because life is expensive, as we all know. So you can gain money every day, but it is very easy to spend. This is a strategy and management simulation after all, as well as a nice garden design game, and you need to be careful. So your garden will have upkeep costs, and every time you expand, these costs go up. You have to pay for your expansions, and new expansions will have more expensive upkeep costs. So you need to have enough money to cover this, and the weather will have either a positive or a negative effect. If it rains a lot continuously over multiple days, you will need to pay for land draining, or your animals will be unhappy, which will bring down your gold bonuses. If it's sunny, you will get a weather bonus for that, and you will gain more money. If you have a well-kept garden with lots of variety, lots of animals, and you are lucky with the weather, you will gain bonuses. So just have this in mind, in the back of your mind a little bit. Hopefully, if we manage this garden well, we should get higher love bonuses nearly every day. Now, after you have proven you can look after your little garden, and you're getting the hang of the ropes a little bit, you can start attracting animals. Animal and habitat management, and the way you discover animals, is actually a very interesting concept. All animals in real life and in game have certain requirements for their homes. So let's take this first example of a bumblebee. Bees need flowers, out in the real world they need flowers, they need shelter, they need a little bit of space, and this applies in the world of Horticular as well. So you need to create a 5x5 tile area which has flowers and shading, and is not too, I believe it has to not be too close to water before a bumblebee will consent to gracing you with his presence. Check the plants you have available to make sure you choose a mix of floral and those that are tall enough or big enough to offer shading. There is a tab along the top interaction bar which gives details about your land and how good it is for flora and fauna. Here we can see a nice green area in the corner for bees, so I have managed to create a good habitat, but the rest of my garden is clearly not currently suitable for any animals whatsoever. Very sad times. This tab also helps with showing decayed areas and item variation. After a while, once you have the appropriate habitat, an animal will show up and decide whether or not this is a good place to live. Make the decision for him by clicking and dragging, then taking him to the little golden house marked on your garden. Tiny bees can be a bit hard to pin down, but something I really like about the mechanics here is that whilst you are given the bee information to start off with, throughout the rest of the demo you can either buy information if and when it randomly appears in the shop, or you can accidentally create the habitat and the animals will arrive. So I loved that. I thought that was great. I thought that was very fun. So and so as I was saying, in the shop, if you want to buy the information, you have to wait for it to appear in the merchant's shop. He will not automatically have what you want. You'll need to be patient. His wares update every week or so. Otherwise, as I say, you can just create habitats and see what happens. So, for example, I managed to get goldfish by creating a large enough pond with lilies, so it's shading, water, something for them to eat. So just think about what do animals require in the real world. A frog needs water. It needs what does he need? So he needs banked land nearby so he can get in and out of the water. He needs food, he needs shading, somewhere to hide, somewhere to bask in the sun, that sort of thing. But if you are given, sometimes you get given it as rewards for completing various tasks or challenges, and if you are given it or you do buy the information, then pay attention to not just the things you need to put down, but the size. So if the area you are creating is not big enough, they will not come, unfortunately. Now, you must be extra careful and look after your creatures, because if you do not, or if you muck about a bit with their habitats, or if you move stuff around, or if you put a habitat next to them that they don't like, then they will get unhappy and will possibly leave. Bees don't like their shrubs being taken away, and they also don't really like water very much, so one of mine has actually abandoned me, which is very bad times, and this will affect how much money I earn as well as the general health and happiness of my garden. So this is actually quite terrible, and I am sorry to the bee. The merchant, mentioned earlier, he's a chatty lad who is slightly impatient and has things to do, so he won't hang about or keep things for you. If he's got it, he has it. If he hasn't, he doesn't, and that's that. Every week or so of in-game time, he updates and changes all of his wares. So if you don't see something you like immediately, he might have it next week instead. The green cubes highlight something newly available to you. I really like this concept. I think it keeps things fresh, and the order in which supplies appear does not seem to be the same each time you start a new game. So maybe in your first playthrough, quite early on, you'll get a goldfish, you get things like that early on in the shop, but maybe in your second new game, you might have to wait weeks before a goldfish appears. So it just adds, along with the your actual tiles being different and your little hut being in a different place every time you start a new playthrough, the merchant and his shop are also slightly different each time. And I think this just adds a really nice extra dimension to the gameplay. Earlier on, you heard me mention decay. That creeping feeling that eats away at your hard work and requires constant effort to keep in check. Decay ruins your plants and can attack any item in your garden, including boulders or fences. I did not know boulders could decay, but that is a sight to see. Decayed items lower your garden scores and cost you gold by subtracting from any daily bonuses you might have built up. If you manage to get enough keepers in your garden, they can keep watch and maintain things on your behalf, but at the beginning you will need to be on the lookout yourself. You can use a pair of magic gardening gloves, to renew any decayed items. Be careful how you use the magic gardening gloves, because if you overload them, they wear out and they stop working. You just have a big bang and nothing happens. So you need to keep watch of how much power you are putting through them to make sure they work properly, they don't get overloaded, and that your plants are fixed and not just blown up. You need to select the exact tile that your item is in, otherwise the gloves, they will work but they will just not make any difference. They'll hit air. Related to decay are the naughty little corrupted gnomes, which appear at night, sent by your nemesis to cause a ruckus and a problem. They destroy and decay your plants, so you need to attack them and get rid of them. Again, you must make sure you select their tile and also hope that they stay still, because if they wander off during your attack, it will just hit thin air and do no damage. A very decayed garden with lots of corrupted gnomes running around will cost you a lot of money. My final tidbit concerns upgrades. I did not want to finish with something as negative as decay, but upgrades are available throughout the game, with some being unlocked as you progress. So these upgrades allow you to improve various skills and they open up new gameplay. So for example, at first you cannot dig into harder rocks like marble, but with some upgrades you will be mining to your heart's content. You need to bear this in mind a little bit earlier in your gameplay, so I don't think upgrades are provided to you straight away. But if you can manage, this is a tip, if you can manage to get some bees in your garden nice and early, they will help you unlock upgrades. So yeah, as I'm saying, anything in Horticular, everything, your progress is directly intertwined with your garden. So you need to have a certain amount of animals and gold in order to unlock things. So there are some things that require you to have 5 bees and some gold. So try and get the animals in and happy and keep them there, and you will be then able to improve your garden and your skills as a whole. I think this is another good mechanic actually that I really like, that requires strategy and management. It's not just earning enough gold to buy it. You also have to keep balance in your garden constantly in order to actually be able to buy the upgrades. So there we are. Horticular. A wonderful game. Lovely garden and environmental management simulator requiring patience and strategic planning. What do you think? Have you played it? Are you interested in the full release? What do you think of the demo? Is there anything you would like to see added? Let me know in the comments down below. Also like the video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you wish to see more demo gameplay or MMO gameplay, RPGs, indie games, or anything of that sort. I also have a Twitter account, whilst Twitter is still, it still appears to be standing. It is at Variegata T. I have linked it down below. I have also put some information about the developer and publisher. So there we have it. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you when I see you. Goodbye.